All right, we're over like 5 minutes past, so we'll get started. Now that we're not talking about dairy-free cheese anymore. So really, we're having Tori on like once a month, right, Tori? So usually we're gonna have it the second Tuesday of every month, and we can really talk about like whatever it is you guys want to talk about. If you have specific questions for Tori, like specific exercises, something specific to your program, you can totally ask for those. If it is more of a general question, like if you're having pain somewhere that might help someone else, well, I know Tori gets very specific. So
I was going to say, it may not actually help anyone else.
I was going to say maybe not, but I only laugh because I messaged Tori about I was having pain in my foot, and she sent me a voice memo. I think that was like 10 minutes long, and I'm like, I'm going to book a call with her.
I can't help it.
I like it. I like learning how your brain works, so it's interesting to me.
Well, that's good at least.
So does anybody have any specific questions for Tori, exercises or things that Tori does, understanding what she does better?
I have a pain question.
Shoot. I know you
It's
have a pain
Marlena.
question because we talked about it earlier.
I know, but it's not really that question.
Cool.
I'm driving. So months ago, I had talked to you about some foot pain I was having.
Mm-hmm.
And then you recommended that I do Sandy B's Foot Fixer program, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no foot pain anymore. And so I was getting ready to start running again. But I have that other pain, which is, I was telling Tori about it. It's like, I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels like where my hamstrings connect to my pelvic bone. So I don't know, are they related to each other? Is it?
So do you remember the other part of that conversation that we had? Where I explained to you why your doctor told you not to run?
You're gonna have to remind me.
Okay. Do you mind that I'm
really
reminding you on the call? Is that okay?
No, I just want to understand how the foot and the opposite leg and back all connect, I guess. Like how is one associated with the other?
Okay, so I'll tell you right now that is more than an hour-long conversation, so I'll do my best to be concise.
Just real quick, Tori.
Okay, so first of all, for Marlena specifically, she has how many plates and screws?
I have like 7 screws in each foot.
Right. Okay, so the reason why, so please, the rest of you, do not take this, don't take this part as it applies to you. It doesn't. Okay, so there are 33 joints in the foot. When the foot functions like 100% healthy, there's no obstruction to it. It is a energy displacer. So not only is it an energy creator, it's an energy displacer. So part of its job is to absorb concussive force as you move through your environment. And part of how it does that is all of those joints, right? So it literally like splays everything, separates, and then it contracts together. So everything has to be able to shift away from each other and then shift back together, and then shift away from each other and then shift back together. And that's a really oversimplification of how the foot works, but keep that picture in your brain. When it shifts apart, so when you're making contact with the earth or with, whatever surface your foot's making contact with, Part of what that does is it creates space in the ankle joint for your shin bones to shift and rotate. So that's what creates ankle flexion, right? And by flexion, I mean like the foot and the ankle, they're gonna come together. So when I bring my toes closer to my shin, that's flexion. So the angle that is created in the middle is decreasing, not increasing. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, increasing would be extension, decreasing would be flexion. So the foot splays, there's space in the ankle, the shin bones can then rotate and create more flexion. And then you got to remember the other end of that shin bone, those shin bones, because there's more than one, also rotates. So at the knee is also rotating. And then that rotation transfers up through the knee, through the femur, up into the hip, then up into the pelvis, then up into the spine, and then from the spine up the vertebrae, and then to the opposite shoulder. And then transfers from the opposite shoulder up through the neck, and then it makes its way back down, and we're starting the next step. If you are like Marlena, which I don't think anyone on this call is, and has solid structures in the foot that are permanent, meaning for some reason there was trauma to the foot, and in order to make it semi-functional, they had to create some solid masses. That splaying process is not going to be fully articulated. Does that make sense? So it can't fully splay because there is now hard structures that are not allowing that to happen. Does that make sense? Okay, so the reason why this is important is it does not mean the foot is not functional. What it means is there's going to be more limitation on how much percussive force it can absorb and displace. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't mean that if you saw a rhinoceros in the street and had to run for your life, you couldn't. What it means is if over time you continue to try to run on a regular basis, you are going to break down other tissues because the foot cannot displace the force it needs to not put extra torque and force on the adjacent joints. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you did Sandy's Foot Fixer program, it allowed your foot to be more mobile. So not the things that are attached with screws are not the part that are getting more mobile. We are mobilizing more the tissue around that solid mass. So that's why you don't have foot pain. However, that does not mean that you are not transferring more torque up the chain because that solid mass is still there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you're in a situation like that, there's going to be a limit to how much you can do long term, right? And we know with running works well when you practice it regularly. If you're doing it sporadically, it doesn't really do you any good. It's just uncomfortable. You're not going to gain anything from doing it sporadically. Does that make sense? And you'd have to do it sporadically in order to not do real damage to the structures higher up. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So it's the same with strength training in the context of there is a limited amount of range and torque that can go through the rest of your body because of that stopped structure. You're just going to have more limitation than you would have without it. However, because of the trauma that happened to your foot, without it, you wouldn't have a foot. So, you know, you get what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you're like if you were strength training, if you decided you wanted to do swimming, if you decided you wanted to do cycling, it doesn't friggin' matter. Whatever you decided to do, you have to understand that already in your day-to-day life, the adjacent, like the stacked joints above your foot are maintaining a higher level of torque than they would otherwise have on them. So anytime you introduce physical stress, you are going to need to do it in a very like trickled approach where you are baby stepping those joints into more range of motion, more muscle, more of anything. Like anytime you're increasing their ability, you're going to have to do it very, very slowly because as far as the body is concerned, it's already taking more torque. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It means in your hindbrain and that autonomic system, right? If we take it like a little side road here and go like, okay, if you had like a little, you know, like on the Enterprise, you had little Scotty in your autonomic system. Basically what it's saying is we're already under additional stress. So when you introduce that new stress, you need to do it at a slow enough rate that you can actually recover from it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And that rate of recovery is 100% individualized to you, and you don't know what it is until you actually play with it and try to figure it out. Okay. Like it's not, and on top of that, how your nutrition is going, the level of stress you're feeling on a regular basis, how well your sleep is going. We know all of the things that affect how you recover, right? And that fluctuates, right? So what you're looking for is, what is my general rate of return, rate of recovery, and can we build on that? Like we know it's going to fluctuate on some level, but we want to kind of hit the middle. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. What you described to me earlier, that discomfort in your hamstrings, makes me think that you are surpassing your recovery level at this point. What you're asking your body to do is a little more than it can recover from. Does that make sense? There's probably more to it than that. I'm oversimplifying it in this particular instance, but we're going to have our chat. But
yeah.
But what we're looking for is that, where's that Goldilocks place of how much can Marlena do and her body stays fairly happy and still make progress, which is what you're trying to find with all of your habits. Like it's not anything different. Yeah. It's just, what are your components? And your components are a little different from like someone that doesn't have a solid mass in their foot. It just is.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you push past it. And for me, I do it multiple times because I have to learn the hard way. But
yeah,
like literally honestly, that happened to me today. I was supposed to work out, but sleep sucked. Everything kind of sucked. I woke up and I'm like, I feel like a zombie. That's why I wore the shirt today. But I was like, I felt like a zombie, and I'm like, I can't work out today. Like I just can't. Right. I don't have it in me. So I walked instead.
There you go. Yeah, and honestly, like that's the other part of that, is that having those movements that are like adding to your recoverability in your back pocket, so that when you have days like what Tabby just said, she knows that like, okay, well, walking for me is a recovery move. It's active recovery. So I'm going to do that instead of what I plan to do, because I know that's going to benefit me more than what I planned on doing. And that may not be walking for you if your foot's aggravating you or your hip's aggravating you. It may be something else. But that's my point, is that like having those in your back pocket are helpful for those situations.
Yeah. I guess I always just figured that I wasn't doing like crazy workouts. I walk mostly, and then I do strength training, but even my strength training isn't like intense. And so I always figured, you're not doing anything that's super intense, but
Time out. That is, that is extremely relative.
Okay.
Intense to whom?
I guess.
And what's the scale? What are you using as a gauge? Like, how are you measuring this? Are you measuring this based on what you used to do? Are you measuring this based on what you see other people doing? Are you measuring this on what your body's actually telling you?
Probably what other people are doing.
Nah,
because
that never works.
everything is new to me, so it's all new. I haven't done half of these exercises ever.
Ooh,
so it's all new to me.
Thing. Wait. That brings up another thing. Okay, so if it's brand new,
okay.
So anytime, physical, and I don't know if this is the same as far as like if this happens with mental stress, but physical stress. Anytime you introduce a new physical stress to the body, it will overreact with energy output. So it will overestimate how much effort it needs to put into that activity. That's normal. Battery's down to 20%. I don't know how long this is going to go down. So it's possible, and I'm not saying that this is what's happening, we'll dive into it later, but it's possible that you just haven't acclimated to it yet. Right? So that's not uncommon. Anytime you add in a new activity or a new movement, your body doesn't know how to do it efficiently, and your body is always looking for efficiency. It's always looking for efficiency, right? It's like it's the default.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't know, then it's going to overestimate because it doesn't want to get you into a situation where you can't do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So once it gets comfortable, it will actually use less energy to produce the movement, which is correct. Like that's how your body should work. Okay. But anyway, so that's an aspect of this also.
Okay.
So like I said, we'll dive into it on your actual call, but I'm just saying like there are multiple things to consider, and that is one of them. And that is a completely normal, like everyone's body does that.
Okay.
I think
Go ahead, Julia. I think you had a, yep.
Oh, I just want to say that I'll be messaging you because I have zero pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I have zero pain, zero ankle pain, zero knee pain, zero hip pain. It's all the pain's gone. And I haven't had it for like a couple, like at least a month or more now. So
that's
like
awesome.
None. And I'm walking every day, and I walk barefoot on the treadmill all the time. And so I'm ready to do something different than what I've been doing. So
yes.
And I have been experiencing a little bit with squats, not squatting too far yet, but just trying to see where my body's at. And I've been able to do that without any pain too.
So a lot of times when you're starting to explore those movements, it's helpful to start them from the ground up if you are not super confident going down. So like if you are going into your squat kind of feeling like, I don't know where the bottom is, starting from the ground and working on being able to get out of the squat will help your hindbrain, that autonomic system, be like, oh, we can get out of it. It'll be okay. And then all of a sudden it lets you go down. It lets you go down further. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's the same thing.
I've just been experimenting with it because I didn't know how my knee was going to react, but I haven't had any issues with my knee. So
yeah, play with it.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Because that was my goal at the beginning of the year, was to be able to do a squat and a lunge. And now it's the end of the year and I'm pretty much there, I think. Super excited.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Me too.
Carol, do you have any questions for Tori? I know that I don't even know if you've met Tori yet. Have you?
Think so.
Oh, hi.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you'll hear people talk about like Tori exercises. So this is Tori. The face behind the exercises.
Right, there you go.
I was gonna say, Tori, you should say like what exactly you do, but when you like go down that rabbit hole.
Tabby, I don't know.
Help people connect like their brain and their body to move in the best way possible. If I could sum it up.
The closest I've been able to like get it down to like what do you do? I guess I help people with their recovery work. I don't know. Meaning that like, yeah, I mean, you know, like I'm a massage therapist first, and then when I got into movement training, that is mostly what I focused on, was getting people out of pain or getting them to a place where I could hand them off to people that knew more about the performance end of things. So like that's kind of the way I think about it right now, is that like I kind of shore up that recovery end, because from my way of thinking, anytime you're looking at progressing physical movement, it's really an adaptation of the body. And adaptation only happens when you have a stressor and then you have recovery from that stressor. So the two things have to go together. And the stressor is generally like people think of, right? They think of the workout, or they think of strength training, or they think of running or whatever. And they often forget that recovery piece isn't passive. Like it doesn't just like it's not magic. It doesn't just like happen. So like Tabby works on the stressor end and I work on the recovery end. I don't know. That's the closest I've come to an explanation.
Yeah, I've definitely learned the hard way, not focusing on recovery.
Well, and it's tough because it's not something people talk about. I can remember when I first talked to Christy about the fact that this is what I wanted to do, and she was like, no one's going to want to do that. And I was like, I know. I was like, everybody needs to do it.
Well, yeah, everybody needs to do it, because like me at the beginning of the year, I had so much pain. I had a hard time even going to bed at night because my ankle hurt so bad and my knee hurt. And then it went to my hip and I was like, oh, this is awful every single night. And then started to do the exercises, but what really changed was the shoes. I am forever zero drop shoes. They're my best friend because ever since I've been wearing them, I don't wear any other shoes but those now, and I just got my husband a pair, and I don't know, I think today's the second day of wearing them. So we'll see what happens. But my daughter, she has less back pain because of those shoes. There's still a lot of work she needs to do, but at least it's a beginning.
It was big changer for me when I found them also. I mean, like I was already kind of heading down this rabbit hole, but it 100% changed the speed at which I progressed. I mean, Christy can tell you, like, I was a train wreck. I had all kinds of fun things wrong with me. But a lot of it was just years and years and years of, riding horses, working with horses, training horses, and being in cowboy boots constantly, like that lifted heel, and then like having toes stepped on and like getting crushed by horses, and just, my lower half was not happy. But I mean, so I had worked with, I don't know, 3 or 4 PTs before I really like was educated in the barefoot shoe movement. And I'm not saying it's for everybody, because it's not for everybody, but for me at least, it was extremely helpful in my ankles getting to actually release and my feet actually getting to move. And that helped considerably with my knees, and helped me get back on a horse, because for a little while there, that was not a thing. So it was huge for me.
I'm a fan of zero drop shoes. I wear them when I run. I don't know if the ones I wear when I work out, they're either 0 or maybe 4 millimeter drop. So yeah.
I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not for everybody, and a lot of people don't need it all of the time. But I mean, if you're someone who has plantar fasciitis issues, or you have really sticky ankles, or you've ever broken toes or anything like that, like it's going to help a lot. So, I mean, and it's something simple, you barely have to change your routine, and you can already change your pain level. So that's always helpful.
I've found that I can't go back to any other shoe because the pain will come back. So I'm looking for sandals for the spring, and I really need a pair of something that's waterproof for the winter. But
you know what you need to get? I'm gonna pull them off right now so you can see them, because these are the bomb diggity. I'm so happy with these. So they're from the Muck Boot Company, and they're like they're insulated rubber waders, but they're like you can flip them all around, and so they're called Foresters. They weren't expensive either, and then like they've got like you can like a cloth end on the top that you can close up. So like for me doing hay, this is like a game changer. I don't get hay in my boots anymore. It's so nice.
That makes sense.
But yeah, like, and they're warm. But these so far are my favorite for this time of year. I like my limbs, but honestly, the limbs are frustrating because I just constantly was getting hay in them. Like they just don't close. They don't close down enough.
well, yeah, see, I don't need something that closes down because I'm not doing hay. I'm just like walking outside in the wet. So I just need something that keeps my feet dry.
The limbs will be fine because they've got webbing on the bottom quarter of them or whatever. So like the limbs hiking boots, they'll be fine. These are cheaper if you're looking for something that's like taller and waterproof, but because they've just got ankle boots, the limbs do. But that would probably be your best bet.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And I usually will get I'll order like a sheepskin liner for the bottom for the wintertime. Makes them nice and cozy.
Yeah, I don't like it when my feet get cold.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for my call with you tomorrow, Tori. So
yeah!
we're talking about feet and whatnot there too. So it'll be fun.
Are you having pain, Tabby?
I was having, I told Tori, but I was having some heel pain, and it's definitely when I wear specific shoes, I notice it more than others. Like when I was walking a lot, and Tori, close your ears, but I was walking in these Nike shoes. I just was walking for a long time, continuous. I was I'm getting my steps in, it was an hour and a half walk, and my left heel was killing me. So
yeah, you need you need some different shoes, Tabby.
I know. That's what I was I know. I'm not even. Well, if I show you the shoes, you're just gonna be no. I already know. So, but even just from hearing the different things that you guys all talk about with the different shoes and stuff. But yeah, so we'll see how that is tomorrow.
You'll have
Yeah,
to
I'm
let me
excited
know,
about it.
Tabby and Marco Polo.
I will. I'll fill you in.
How much did she scold you? Ha ha ha.
I don't even let her look at my sneakers over here. Just be like, don't look at this little section.
That's not how that works, Tab.
No, I'll be honest.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But does
Can you
anybody
hear
have
Harmony
any?
screaming at the door?
Yeah, I did hear. She's like, get off your call. Where are you?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Does anybody have anything else for Tori?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well,
I could join.
I'm glad you could too. I always feel like I
Yeah,
learned
this
something
is
from
great.
listening from Tori.
I'm glad it
All right.
worked out. And I'm glad my phone didn't die.
I was just about to say that.
Oh my God. Well, we're at 10%, so it's close. So your timing is perfect, Tabby.
Right on point. All right.
Yes.
Well, then you guys enjoy the rest of your night. And if anybody has any like questions for Tori, you can always send them my way. You can reach out to Tori directly, and we're more than happy to help.
Yeah, and we'll have so we'll be doing this second Tuesday or second Monday of the month, and then we'll do we'll do like office hours Q&A on the that's going to get confusing, the fourth Tuesday of the month. So we'll kind of spread it out. So if you have questions or you think of them later, shoot them over.
So the fourth Tuesday of this month, I guess, would be the 22nd of November.
Sure. I'm not looking at a calendar, but yeah, that sounds good.
I just looked at the calendar because I was like, all right, I was literally counting the Tuesdays. So office hours for Tori will be on the 22nd of November, and then she'll come back in December for another movement call. All right, guys. Well then, everyone have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Night.
Thanks, Abby.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.